Hey everybody, this is Logan coming at you. So today we're doing more of a podcast, a solo podcast, and let's dive right in. Today I want to start on the subject of all things crock pots. So it is Sunday, it is still the weekend, and with that comes meal prep for the week. And what I was doing was I was doing stovetop every Sunday, either chicken or hamburger meat. That's kind of what I like to rotate between. Um, but anyway, when I rotate between them, I was just doing the stovetop and putting it on a pan, greasing that pan up and putting a little bit of butter and seasoning. And, um, you know, for this week, it's the chicken. So get that chicken in there and grill it up, not too hot. I like to cook around to 7 and then just kind of turn it down. I'm not a chef or anything, but I'm willing to take some tips and pointers. So if in the comments you put your best cooking tips, I will read through them and try to apply them. Yeah, but anyway, I was cooking my chicken and it was super labor intensive. I'm talking, I was spending prepping the chicken, 10, 15 minutes, cutting it up into smaller fillets. And I'm a chicken breast kind of guy. I'm not super big on like thighs or wings or anything like that. I just like straight chicken breast. So I was chopping up my chicken breast and, like chop, 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 all nice and thin slices and laying it out in usually like at least 3 pans, literally a week's worth of chicken. And I eat probably close to around 250 to 300 grams of chicken a day. And with that, that's a lot of chicken. That I probably go through 7 pounds of chicken a week or so. And with cooking it, not only was it super labor intensive, but it took up a lot of time. I probably, with preparing and cooking, I probably had to take up at least an hour and a half once it's all been put in containers and, stored away for the week. And the other thing I was bad, this is where I'm kind of crazy, was when I was cooking it, I was like, when I was chopping it up, I would like taste test. So just to make sure it wasn't raw. So I would go and once I finished cooking it, chop up a little piece, chop up like in the middle, the middle section to see if it was cooked through all the way, and take a bite and see if it was actually ready. Sometimes when you experiment like that, you get kind of a raw piece of chicken or two, and it's not great. Every time I've eaten a raw piece of chicken while cooking, I'm like, oh, am I going to get sick? And maybe more than once I've felt it like that piece of like uncooked or not cooked all the way chicken definitely bruised at least my ego, thinking I'm some kind of master chef who belongs on the Food Network. But it kind of made me a little queasy from time to time. So I have switched up that habit. I did get a meat thermometer. So from what I've read online, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I've been told around 165 is roughly where you want to keep chicken at, because the temperature will raise once you get it out of the pan, out of whatever you're cooking in. The temperature is going to go up slightly. So I always try to get it around the 160, 165 on the meat thermometer, pull it out, chop it up, and get it ready. But nowadays, just to kind of save time, I've found out about the magic and wonder of a crock pot. Those things are legendary. They're magical in some crazy, fantastical way. All I do is take out the chicken. I don't even cut it up now. I spray down the crock pot, put the chicken in there, put on my seasonings, and correct me if I'm wrong, I'm doing about 7 hours in a crock pot for chicken. And letting that bad boy just cook on low. So it's like old timey, like how you imagine like the old knights and everything would get around like a bonfire and like have this big stew pot. And I just imagine them lighting the fire with twigs and slowly getting the embers burning and blowing on the fire to get the kettle in there cooking. And then, they throw in their soup and their meats and their meat and stuff and everything. And then they just like take a big stick and kind of just wave it around and around and around and let that puppy simmer for a couple hours before, they had their big feast. But I could be wrong. They could have just thrown it in a pit, lit it on fire, and, scorched it. But I like to imagine, I guess the romantical big cauldron of mead. But yeah, that crock pot, man, it does some fabulous things. I just throw it in there, season it, and set that puppy on low, and 7 hours later, it's ready to go. And of course, I tend to it. I tend to my chicken. I actually go and I flip them. I give it about, this solid hour, 2 hour rule where I go and I'm like, okay, well, just for good measure, flip it, season it some more again. Now, here's the real trick is when it's all said and done, what I'm doing now is before I was chopping up the chicken when I was pan cooking it. Now, when I get it out of that crock pot, I am just taking some forks. And sometimes fork and knife, just depends. And I'm like shredding that chicken. And then once I have it shredded out, I'm putting it on the scale, weighing the day's worth of chicken, throwing it in some Tupperware, and ready to go for the day. That's another thing that I suggest that's made a real difference as far as the meal prep for the week is before I had just like one big pot of my lunch meat, and I would go and weigh it out every morning. That is a major hassle, and it's a lot more to clean. If you got the time, I really do suggest, and the money, getting just a set of like 20 glass Tupperwares. Doesn't have to be name brand or anything. It can be off brand too. And just make sure they're big enough to where they can fit a full meal in there. And you're going to weigh out your stuff and put it in those and just have at least 5 a Monday through Friday supply ready to go. And then maybe you have an extra like leftover one where you keep kind of, place to just kind of dig in where if you need a snack, you can, it's within reach. Now the chicken's good. Chicken, I don't mind crock-potting and doing that. It's more the beef, the hamburger meat where I kind of have issues. I don't know. It could be skill. Chad, it could definitely be skill. I am not the greatest cook, but I think it's kind of hard to fuck up a crock pot, to be honest. I threw in the hamburger meat about this probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I let it cook. I gave that maybe 5 hours, if that, maybe 4. Not as long as the chicken. And when I took it out, first of all, I really had to ration because it wasn't quite enough hamburger meat for the week. Secondly, it wasn't really that good. I don't know if it's just the way I seasoned it or how I ended up doing it, but it was closer to like kind of mushy, almost like taco meat, like what you'd put in tacos. Yeah. Well, now what I'm thinking about is branching off from crock-potting and seeing about using the oven and baking. But I don't even think I have a set of oven mitts at my place. So that's definitely worth the investment. I think if I had to, I've got towels, and I've never burned my. Nope, I take that back. I thought about it. I have burned myself on an oven before. I was a little kid, and I was reaching on the edge of the oven, and where like the tray fits, I had something in there, and I got like my thumb on it. Yeah, I do remember burning myself on an oven. That was a bitch. Maybe I have to get into cooking stuff in the oven more. It probably wouldn't take as long as the crock pot, but is it as good? The hamburger meat, maybe like a meatloaf or something. A meatloaf wouldn't be bad. in the oven. That'd probably hold up better than in the crock pot. But it could just be skill. It could be the way I'm cooking it. So if you have any oven tips, let me know. And even send me some recipes. I want to know what you guys like to eat. And with that, try to send me some of your healthy recipes. Stuff where you're like, okay, this is generally low calorie and you can eat it for a good time. So like for a while and you don't really get bored of it. It's what you like your go-to meals. And best one I will try. If it perks my interest, I will give it a try and try something new. That's one thing I am all about is trying new things and especially food. If especially like at work where people will bring in like new foods and they're like, hey, I brought you this, you want to try this? And a lot of times, yeah, I'll try it. If it seems decent enough, I'm willing to try, international cuisine. Kind of an artisan in that sense. Try something different and maybe you like it. There are many things where I wish as a young kid I would have tried and expanded my flavor profile and tried different foods. Now it feels like a lot of times you eat the same thing over and over. I know some people are just stuck in that habit and that's what they like. But for me, it's about trying something different. Also, I really try to stay away from those ultra processed like microwave meals. Growing up, I used to go out to eat a lot and also a lot of microwave meals. And where they get you on those, especially with the microwave meals, is all the sodium that's in there. Like you will forever feel bloated. That and a bunch of pasta. So yeah, I would eat so much pasta. Nowadays, I do really low carb and stick to just kind of high protein. I'm working on getting kind of more natural fats into my diet too. Yeah, and also, other than hitting macros, also making sure like I take a multivitamin every day and making sure you have good nutrients. And, a lot of that really impacts your day and also your sleep quality as well. The more I've improved the way I've eaten, the better my sleep's gotten, the better life kind of just plays out. So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on overall kind of food nutrition and crockpotting. Now it really also plays a big role into how your workouts go. So the better your food is, and I like to say the term like fill up, like if you're able to really fill up, you can fuel that workout more. And personally, I like filling up with like some quick sugars, and I'm not talking like candy bars or cakes or chocolates. And sorry if that's triggering to you, but I go more for like a smoothie, so getting those natural sugars. So my go-to is always bananas, strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, and I throw in like some high protein yogurt. Mix that up, and then I throw it in there with some ice because I like a thick smoothie. And also, on a side note, I take creatine with it too. If you haven't looked into the benefits of creatine, creatine is a great supplement. Not only does that help with recovery, and it's proven to help with recovery, it helps with muscle growth. It causes water to be retained in the muscles, so it makes your muscles look fuller too. It is a great supplement. It's fairly cheap. You can probably go out and, at least right now, get it for 15, 20 bucks for like a big old tub of it. That could always change, but at least right now it's a cheap supplement and it's worth looking into. But yeah, smoothies all the way. And I need to try to cut down on these, but I also do a lot of like protein bars too. And with those, I just try to avoid the ones that avoid the ones that do have those like artificial sweeteners and like sucralose. And if you go to the back of a label and you can't understand what's in there, that's the chemical that you're putting into your body. So try to be aware with what you're eating and how much and for how long. And for a lot of you, I know a lot of what you eat is based on how you feel as well. So kind of keep your emotions in check and see like, okay, well, if I'm feeling like this, why am I feeling like this? And does it make me want to eat? Am I even hungry? And you got to look back to the kind of the 1 to 10 scale of, okay, if I'm not hungry now, will I be hungry later? And on a scale of 1 to 10, how hungry am I? It really does make a difference in kind of adjusting how much you want to eat when you're more aware. And that really does come down to like tracking your calories. The more you understand yourself and taking the time, even if you just do it, I challenge you to do it for a day and then for a week. And then if you can do it for a week, then for a month. And just track your weight, track your calories, and see the difference that it makes just knowing what you're putting into your body. It makes a huge difference when you're aware, and it affects your choices, affects what you eat, what you buy as well. When you count calories, you end up cutting out a lot of fluff, and you save a lot of money that way too. Because then you're focused on, okay, this is what I can eat, this is my calorie window, this is how much I can eat in a day. And for people that take things kind of overboard, don't overdo it. Try to do a range. Don't say, okay, today I will only hit 2,000 calories and no more, no less. Kind of have a range. If you go a little bit under that, a little bit over, whatever your body needs, just if you got the time, the money, and the resources, really look into getting a nutritionalist. They can guide you in the right light and kind of guide you towards your goals, whether that's losing weight or gaining weight. It's a person who their specialty is how food affects the body. And that's both weight, nutrition, just generally how you feel. And I can't recommend it enough. If you don't already have one, get a primary care doctor too. Someone that you can go who can help you for general mental health, general physical health. Someone who can help you get a physical and get blood work done at least once a year. You really want to know once a year, where you stand from last year and if there are any changes. So it helps predict future health problems before they occur, and it helps you settle and deal with current health problems as they come up. It's very important to have professionals on your side that are willing to help you. All right, that's all I got for the day. If you guys could like, comment, subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. And check out my website at www.halfpassyouthshow.com. All right, see y'all. Have a good one. Bye.